guys? It's John McNamara, host, Ron in Vegas. So we're talking local business, sports, real estate. My co-host, Mr.
Rodrigo. Yeah, thank you. Always happy to be here. And for everyone watching, listening, please like what you see, subscribe, drop us a comment, let us know how we're doing, share with your friends, family, to anyone that you think this might be a service to.
Yes, sir. Please like us. And we got a special guest on today, Mr. Chris Hahn, broker owner, Insight Property. Thanks for being on.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
the
you.
invite. I was, never meet a realtor who doesn't like to talk about themselves, so here I am.
You must be talking about Rodrigo over here.
And no, it's nice to finally meet you because, your name comes around often, through all the transactions, deals, all the business, and nice to finally put a name, face to the name.
Communicate a lot of agents. I wear a lot of hats, as I'm sure
You
we'll find
do.
out through this process. So a lot of emails and text messages. They don't let me out of my cave very often.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on because I'm curious about all of it because you do run a lot of hats and not a lot of folks can be successful with that.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're having a lot of success. So can you tell us about, where you're from, your background, how'd you get into all this?
Oh boy. I was born in Southern California because everyone who lives here who isn't, and but I moved here in 2002, so this is pretty much home to me. I've been here a long time.
Oh, wow.
I worked with a real estate agent as an assistant coffee runner when I was 18 years old. Saw how much all the agents were making and thought I can do that, as many do. And I mainly got my real estate license in 2010, so June of 2010. So really rough time to enter the market.
Yeah.
But I told a lot of people, if you can do it in 2008, 2009, 2010, you'll probably be okay. Worked on a team. I kind of wore a lot of hats then too. Worked with buyers, sellers, short sales was a big thing. Noticed I really liked the organization and paperwork side of things. So kind of moved in a lot to the admin side. So I ran teams, set up systems, organizations, and still wore that realtor hat by kind of knowing both sides, not just the administrative side, but knowing how a transaction really worked.
Okay.
Cool.
Great. Yeah, it seems like that's your strength. And I didn't realize that you got licensed in 2010.
Yes.
I got licensed September 15th, 2009.
Oh, yep.
So we got licensed around the same time. That was fun. Tell us about that. I kind of like to go back because, I'm sure you've been hearing for the last 2 years, everybody keeps talking about how hard the real estate market is.
Yeah.
But if you were experiencing that market, give us some comparison. Kind of shed some light for agents been in the business for like 5 years.
It's really been a polar opposite from what we saw in 2008, 9, and 10, right? Super high inventory, plenty of options, sellers negotiating, banks giving away anything they could to get rid of their properties. So coming into the market now where, we've been under inventory for years, multiple buyers trying to find a place. Negotiating short sales was very interesting. It was a good book of business, but it was all about being organized and really being aggressive with the banks.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in a class with someone, the bank manager essentially of their assets, their REOs. And she goes, I don't think real estate agents realized in that time, we didn't know how to process a short sale. So we hired people. We brought on 8, 9, 10 people. They sat in a conference room with one phone.
Yeah.
And the bank manager said we'd take turns. The phone got passed from person to person. So real estate agents that were processing, escrow companies that were processing short sales, I don't think saw that side of it. Where it's like, you only got to call once every other 3 days because that's how long it took for that phone to go around the table and everyone take their turn.
Yeah.
I think we're much more prepared for that now. Hopefully that's not an issue anymore moving forward. But coming in now, it's very different problems, right? Now we're dealing with interest rates. If you represent a buyer now, trying to get into a home is almost just as hard as a seller trying to get out of it in 2010.
Yeah, and then we have these bigger commissions now too, right? Because I think our average commission was like 110,000. I remember I had 40 short sale files. I had no idea what the heck I was doing. Yeah, hoping the bank would pick up that day, like you're talking about. Hoping clients would call me because I didn't know what was going on the file. Half the time. Hoping the bank's doing something. So.
Yeah, long time in between any kind of update, which is
Yeah.
a long period of time for buyers and sellers.
Yeah. Yeah, the good news now, I think, prices are higher, or people can still buy and sell. It's different. So I think we have good problems now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
better problems, I should say. But,
I remember getting a call in like 2012, right? Investor a little bit behind the ball, calls me up. I've got $90,000 cash. What can I get for $90,000 cash? I said, a BMW. Like, those days are over. You're not getting a house for that anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, a car. That's what you're going to get now for that price.
I was getting those calls in like 2017. I remember they were like, I saw they bought this for $40,000. I'm like, yeah, you can't. That's not the market anymore. Oh, I get those all the time. It's crazy.
You missed out. Yeah.
So tell us, let's dive into some of the hats that you wear. Big into property management.
Yes, I'd say that's probably the biggest focus of my time. It's my primary role is property management. I'm also a broker, owner of Insight Properties. So I do have some agents. I do some transactions, very much on the investment side because of rolling that into property management. So I have a pretty wide experience on how to make an asset really work, right?
Okay.
I'm a little less of that empathetic person. So the buying a personal home or selling a personal home, I typically deal with what we call those high C personalities that like the details, less emotions. But I'd say property management is number one. And then I do own a transaction coordination business on the side that I started in 2015, actually. And my sister runs that. And I think that's a big part of my success is the people. I mean, I can't really do it all. I mean, yes, I'm the front person. Yes, I wear a lot of hats. But if it wasn't for my sister and being able to rely on her to run that business and bring me problems, not me having to chase after them. My mother is my operations manager for the brokerage.
Oh, wow. You got a real family business.
One of the owners. So again, having her really manage the flow and coming to me and saying, we need this, we need it now, and you need to focus on this is helpful. Because again, it's multiple hats, and I have the experience, I have the licenses, that all this takes. But
I have a lot of questions now.
Yeah, it opens up conversations. People always are interested when they start diving in. I'm like, there's a lot there.
Share what you feel comfortable with, but how is it, well, two things. How is it, because you got a family business, so to speak, and you're not calling it that, I am, but
yeah, no, it's family business.
How does that work? Like, is that I know myself working with friends and family in the past, that dynamic can be challenging sometimes because it's like, am I in business mode, in my friend mode, or in my brother mode, whatever it is. How is that like, and how do you deal with that?
I would say that on my side, I try not to draw my emotions into it too much, which I think, someone makes a mistake and it's an employee, it's a little easier to have that conversation than a family member having a mistake. Yeah. But just knowing internally, I'm making mistakes too. Like you've got to understand that if they were working for you or working for another business, they're operating the same. The only difference is nobody cares about your business succeeding the way family does. Yeah. And that's really where at least my family, I guess I shouldn't say that for all families, but that's kind of what started growing this was, my mother and my sister, and I even joke, I sent my dad something the other day that when I got my license, he just became an unpaid employee. He helps me with repairs, he picks up lock boxes, he does things, he's very supportive. And it's just, we get frustrated, sometimes we have to take a step back. I have a very large family. We meet every month for birthday dinners, nice. And we never let that kind of draw into it. It's real talk. I mean, there's times when my sister's like, I'm logging off for the day. I'm all done, and that's okay. It's okay just to understand that. You have to allow, whether it's a real employee, a non-family member employee or a family member, to express their emotions like they would with anybody. Handle them like you would an employee. I would never say something to my sister that I wouldn't say to someone who worked for me. We draw that boundary. But everyone makes mistakes, and I think that's kind of where that frustration comes from. But they care. They're not coming to me being like, I made a mistake and it doesn't matter. I've had people work for me like that. Oh, well, it's not my business. Why do I care? Verbatim. I'm like, that's different. That's harder to me than a family member.
Yeah.
Someone who works for you who just doesn't care.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's important to, in any business, be able to log off for the rest of, once you're done for the day, business day's over, you're like, hey, I'm logging off. And it's also important, I've been part of family business as well, and it's important not to bring those problems to the dinner table.
Yeah, we bring the stories.
Or
There's
bring the
lots of
story.
property management stories to bring.
Yeah, I'm like, let's not talk any business whatsoever. I want to, hear the personal stories, but definitely not talking business. Yeah. Creating those boundaries are important.
Yeah, and it all comes down to communication. There are days. I mean,
for sure.
2 days ago, I did the same thing. It's like my mother, operations manager, comes to me, needs me to make decisions, and I just said, "You need to put it off to tomorrow. I'm all done. I'm all done making decisions. I need to sit. I need to focus on some things I need to get caught up on. I need to do my job, right now, and focus on my priorities." She's like, "Okay, I'm going to save this. I'm going to come back to you tomorrow because I need this." But, I just step away, and it's like,
Well, it's good you have those boundaries, and I like what you said. Like, we all make mistakes at certain points, and family and friends, they care the most too. So that shows in the business as well. So
yeah, I've had 2 friends, very close friends, work for me, and both of them came to me and was like, "This is not the role for me."
Yeah,
I don't, one admitted, like, I'm making mistakes because this is just not my focus. I'm this personality type, I'm that, and I think it was just that I was going to her and saying, "Hey, this happened. Why? Like, let's talk about it." And it wasn't just this like abrupt, because that's how you lose friends.
Yeah.
Is just this not treating it well.
For sure.
And I'd hope to say that those friends that worked for me would come back if a different role opened up.
Yeah.
As opposed to some people just aren't fit for every job, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But giving them that option to just say, "This is not working for me,"
yeah.
is how you kind of keep those friendships.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I've noticed that with like our business too. Is like once you start going to business with people, you figure out what their strengths are, and hey, if there's other roles, it actually sometimes just turns into other opportunities for the business. So
Yeah, absolutely.
That can be good. Yeah.
I mean, I've evolved from buyer's agent, listing agent, work short sales. I've been executive assistant, director of operations, kind of a brokerage manager, right? Helping create compliance systems, protocols. And each time it was like, as I grow and as I get better, I've shifted into different roles.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing too. Can't keep people down. You've
Yeah.
got to let them change and evolve and move into other positions because the animosity and stuff there that you're not valued is different. This is what you're meant to do, right? That's the worst thing that anyone wants to be told. This is what you should do. This is your personality type. You're limited to this. And I've been told that, right? I've been told I'm not a salesperson. I run, back end for some brokerages, and if I took my numbers and put them on the board up to those agents, I'd be like 5th in production.
Yeah.
It's not my strength. It's not what I'm getting on the phone doing every day. But being told you can't do something has always made me like, watch me.
Yeah. With that
chip, right? There you go. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I have some questions on property management.
Yes.
Because not to make this about us, me and Rodrigo, but we have talked about starting a property management business sometime in the future.
Yeah.
And I've talked to multiple, that's why I was really excited to have you on today, to pick your brain a little bit, because I've talked to multiple property managers. Some love it. Some would be like, I would never do it again. What's your thoughts if somebody was going like us, thinking about getting into property management in the future? What's some advice you give to agents or brokers to consider or, shed some light?
I think it's a really great backbone to a business. So anybody who asks me, people tell me all the time, right, you're in property management, that's horrible, they get sued all the time. I'm like, well, dishonest ones do. So there's a couple kind of key features you have to know about yourself before you get into it, right? It's not even so much about systems, processes, it's, are you an emotionally driven person? If you're emotionally driven, it will wear you out.
Okay.
I have to work with, my mother's not an emotional person necessarily, but I have to let her know sometimes because she helps handle some of the repairs and maintenance requests. It's not your house, right? It's not your responsibility if the AC goes out or the roof leaks. It's not your responsibility if the AC goes out and the tenant is now, going crazy because they were going to have to go stay somewhere else. It's 110 degrees outside. The lease agreement says we don't have to reimburse them. This is the contract. This is black and white. Now, we're not not empathetic, right, to the owners having to pay for something. In fact, we've personally helped them finance, repairs and stuff that help them kind of get that property back turned around. But are you going to get sucked into the emotions, right? Real estate agents have the same conversation. Your job is to stay impartial and to advise your clients to the best of your ability. If the buyer and the seller don't agree, you getting angry is not going to fix that situation, or you getting emotionally involved is not going to fix that situation. One of the top 5 most stressful things someone does in their lifetime is buy and sell a house.
Yeah.
If you get emotionally involved with the 20, 30, 40 deals a year you're doing, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're physically not going to make it.
Start losing hair.
Property management is, say it. This is dying, so
I was talking about me.
I
I was talking about me. Wait.
Chris is not going to come back, man.
Are you emotionally involved? Cannot be emotionally involved. 2 is you have to be very black and white, right? You are managing trust accounts with a lot of money in them. You have to be accountable to that. And talking about real estate penalties and legal issues, the biggest one is commingling funds. You've got to be really, really good, or hire someone who's really, really good, and put ability to oversee those roles in place. She's my mother. I trust her with my life. I still look at every single thing she does. It's a 2-part double check, just because she may not understand something maybe, and I have to make sure that it's being done to the letter of the law and what is expected of us as realtors, right? Because we have this code of ethics that comes along with our license as well. So not getting too emotionally involved in decisions, and having a really solid accounting process to make sure that those funds are going in the right account, security deposits are getting returned on time, the money's being handled correctly. After that, I mean, if you run a real estate business, then typical checklists, making sure you don't drop the ball on something. I don't think there's too much more legality that comes into play outside of being an agent versus the property manager, other than the funds. The money's got to be airtight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like about you too, because I know I've called you multiple times to ask for advice on certain situations, and you're always very calm. You give me great information. I always appreciate that. I think that's a great broker. That's what I need. I don't need somebody who's highly emotional. That's just not a fit. If you're an agent out there dealing with a broker like that, don't tolerate that, because it just makes the situation worse. Because a lot of times we just need to know the answer, and then we feel good.
Yeah.
And then if our manager or our broker, whoever it is, they can give us that information and calmly, now I feel calm.
Yeah.
Right? So I know when I talk to you, I always feel better. So you do a great job with that. So
Thanks. I've gotten that feedback before. It's like as a broker, now your job is your agents. It's making sure that your agents understand what's going on, backing them up if there's an issue, right? I've had to call other brokers where, they're screaming at me. Just this level of, it's not even your transaction. How involved are you getting in this? Where I'm like, this is either right or wrong. We can have a different opinion.
Right.
But in the end, it's like, everyone needs to come down a notch if they're going to make a decision.
Yeah,
Sellers, everybody.
Yeah, it's mostly ego too when you hear those emotions coming out, right, from other brokers.
My favorite is, I've been a broker since, when that conversation starts, I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah. I've met some brokers, been in the business 40 years, and they don't run good businesses. I'll tell you that. I know what you're talking about. So.
Some are great, right? Experience is always great. It's certainly how you implement it.
Yeah, you got to make decisions level-headed. You can't make them when you're heated and think you're full of emotions. So
there's sometimes. I'm not human. There's emotions involved.
Yeah.
And it's just and it's the same thing. Right, the other day where it's like, I need a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make that phone call right now. I'm not going to take that phone call right now.
Yeah.
Tenants, especially the audacity that some of these tenants have. I'm like, you're not my client.
Yeah.
So you getting worked up and screaming at me about something when we've done everything we can to address an issue or answer your calls. We answer almost every single call when someone calls in.
That's impressive.
Oh, wow.
It is something
impressive. I don't get that feedback from a lot of property managers. Usually you can't hear from them at all because they're scared of those calls. So that's great that you guys address them.
They're like sweeping them under the rug. And I'm like, that's the last thing that we want to do. And sometimes, my mother and I work pretty close together in the same office, and it's, so-and-so's calling. Like, there are those people, but not answering the call is just putting fuel on the fire.
Yeah,
just being able to answer the call, or there's multiple times when she takes a call and says, I can't answer that. I'm not the property manager, but I can get them on the line.
Yeah.
And for the tenant to be able to speak with me, like you said, I kind of de-escalate the situation, come from it from a very logical standpoint, hopefully. But I don't know how often a tenant can call and get their property manager on the phone within
You're
minutes.
the first one.
Yeah.
Within minutes.
Yeah.
So we try. We really do.
Yeah. I know, because we offer, we're not property managers, we don't offer property management services in any single way, but we do help out folks get properties rented out, and that is one of the things we'll pitch is, hey, we'll offer actually really good, customer service to the ability that we can, of course, because a lot of these property managers, I'll refer them to you, but I've referred property managers in the past, and then they get a bad experience, bad taste, and then they reflect it on me because I refer them to that property manager. So that's great to know.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, it's bad out there.
I'd say that it's rough.
Yeah, whenever I help a tenant, try to apply for a home, it's 1 out of 15 property managers has some common sense.
Yeah.
Or has, the will to actually pick up the phone, give you the right information. Seems like a lot of the time they just want to take on application fees, and as many as they want, as many as they can. So,
Yeah, the application process. We refund
Always.
application fees.
Oh,
And I let people know that all the time, that I don't keep the application fees unless I physically process the application.
That's right.
And it's just one of those things where when I'm representing a property, we're not cheap. I'm going to let that out there right now. Like, we're
Nice.
not the cheapest property management in town. Some are going for that model, right? There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with, here's this low fee, and we're going to take on this massive portfolio, and if it rents. Screw the tenant. I mean, I'm just being honest, that is their business model.
Right.
If I start off, I'm going to take 10 applications, I'm not going to return application fees. Now you're going to move in, the property's not ready, I haven't clearly explained the lease. You're just setting yourself up for failure. You're setting your tenant and your owner up for failure.
Yeah.
Isn't it easier to answer the call, schedule the showing, explain all the details, explain the application process? You're going to apply, we take them in the order we get them. If that person doesn't apply, we move on. If they change their mind, we move on to the next.
Yeah.
We don't get to you, we'll refund the application fee. I haven't spent any time or energy on that. I really haven't. It's one button on my system, refund. And it sets yourself up for success in long-term tenants.
That's good. You have that. I like that business model, because I know myself, because I've owned multiple investment properties in the past, and I've had mostly bad experiences with property managers. I would gladly pay more for good customer service.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that you back that up and you provide both. Do you have tiers for your? I'm just you don't have to detail the numbers.
No, you're good.
Do you have tiers?
site,
I'm
so.
just curious. Yeah.
We don't. We have one flat protocol on our management fee and any other fees that go along with that. We keep it all the same. We offer the same level of service.
Okay.
We'll say no if it doesn't meet our criteria, because just like a regular agent, it's working with a client that's never going to close does you no good.
right.
Yeah.
So working with an owner that's not going to make repairs or put you at risk, it's just as much screening a client as it is, taking everyone you can get.
Yeah.
So no, it's all one structure.
Yeah, it's awesome that you put your peace of mind first. You're peaceful. A lot of us, a lot of agents, we get one lead, we never even qualify them, and we're showing them 15 homes, and they never even qualified for those homes.
Yeah.
And I can tell you're very, relaxed. So I give you props for that, because I can tell you must work on your mental mentality. You must what do you do? Do you read any books? Do you listen to podcasts?
Tell us
What
about
do you
your
do to
meditation process that you guys
Yeah,
have every single
right.
day?
I know you
Going on during
And
the
how can
day.
you teach us?
Do you start the day with a yoga class and then end it with a yoga? Because that's what it seems like. You're
Yeah.
Got the zen about you.
That's a great question. No, I actually really enjoy working.
Huh?
I always have. I mean, any family ends up watching this will know I was, selling my grandmother's grapefruit out of the back of a pickup truck at 10 years old. So I've always enjoyed that aspect, and so I do enjoy it. I think which I mean, that's something you can't really teach someone. But I used to be very stressed out, and it was actually affecting my health. And so when I got to the point where I had headache all day, every day, and I found myself, shoulders up, my hands would be clenched. I was actually pushing my hands against my desk at, some parts of my career, to the point where I went to the doctor. I'm like, my arm like tingles and it hurts.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are these lines on your arms? I'm like, well, that's me pressing against my desk because of you can take on a lot of stress in this business. So
Yeah.
every once in a while, it's just, it was a certain point too financially. Once I kind of broke through that point where I wasn't worried about where my next paycheck was coming from, which also is something you can't really teach people.
Yeah.
But to lay that out is, how do you set yourself up for that? Because I also know agents that all they do is go out and sell another house and sell another house and sell another house. And, oh, my kid needs this, I gotta sell a house. I'm gonna go on vacation, I gotta sell a house. Am I gonna make my mortgage payment in 3 months? I gotta sell a house. So to your point of doing property management, or all these hats that I wear, switching over to focusing on, I'm gonna get paid whether that client buys the house or closes or not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get paid whether I take a client on or whether that client fires us, allows me to make the best decision possible and not get this emotionally driven, right? We call it commission breath in our industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's for the advice is have you guys heard of the one thing?
Yeah.
Gary
Yes.
Keller, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Focusing on what's the one thing you can do which makes everything else easier or unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it's, getting staff to help, it means you have to sell X amount of houses. Put this goal and put this idea behind it. Because I said, I need to make X amount. I need to have X amount coming in every month without the end result tied to it. Allow me to take on clients, fire clients,
No.
not show up for work if I don't want to. One of my big goals, I just talked to someone the other day. I want to come in every day, because I enjoy working, just said that. Working's not the issue. I want to come in every day and only do what I want to do.
That's nice.
That's my end goal.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to come in. I love working with clients. I love coaching and consulting with clients. I have multiple brokers that call me for advice. I have teams that hire me to come in and consult on processes and systems. And that's what I enjoy doing. Doesn't always pay the bills. So it was, how do I set something up so that I tackled that one thing.
Yeah.
Now I can work towards
Yeah.
doing that one thing
Yeah,
that I
that's,
want to do.
that's smart. That's one thing I always thought about with property management, because I always knew there's always going to be shifts in our business. And you're absolutely right. When it shifts, the real estate agents, a lot of us feel it a lot. Even as much as we work hard or not, you're attached to those deals. Property management, you still have that rolling in. You still have that inventory, right? So,
Yeah,
or
as long as you set it up
doors,
right.
I should say.
Yeah.
So besides all the business, being a workaholic over here, what do you do for fun?
I travel.
Nice.
I like to travel.
What was the last place you went to?
Seattle.
Oh.
My best friends live in Seattle. It's gorgeous.
Oh, it
It's
is.
cooler.
Yeah.
Just detaching from the office if I have to, right? Just even it's little trips, long trips.
Yeah.
I work when I go on trips a lot, but it's change of scenery. That's relaxing to me.
Yeah.
I'm remodeling my house, which is
cool.
very time consuming.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're not doing the work. My dad does a lot of the work, but it's time consuming. Other than that, family, going to dinner with my sisters tonight, right? Tacos,
Cool.
margaritas. So just kind of keeping that, I'm single,
There you go.
bachelor,
Yep,
no kids.
on the market over here.
And keeping yourself to what you like to do.
Yeah,
No
for
major
sure.
hobbies, really.
Yeah.
Never really have, but
That's cool. Yeah, we like to travel. We like to
Travel
eat.
and eating.
We share the same.
We're the same way. We work,
Yeah.
we travel, we eat,
Working
we
it-
drink.
Working is always better in a different setting and not your regular setting for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Sometimes we'll end up downtown, even at a coffee shop, downtown Las Vegas at a coffee shop, just working
Yeah.
for the morning. That feels like a change, like a relief.
Do you ever go to downtown?
yeah, go
Okay.
downtown.
I like just going down there sometimes. It feels like a different part.
Yeah. different
It feels
vibe.
like a real city, where sometimes like Summerlin, can be a little like its own world, so to speak. But I like going. I'm the same way. It's like an energy thing for me.
Yeah.
Just going Seattle, downtown, wherever. But I'm the same way. I like to just get out of that for a little bit.
I like to experience all those different types of living styles, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, going downtown, Water Street has actually become kind of fun. There's different things down there in Henderson, downtown Summerlin, or even, I like hanging out in Red Rock. I like the restaurants. I like the energy. I'm not a big gambler, but it's fun people watching. So even traveling, it's like I can find myself, again, getting towards that, only doing what I want to do every day is, I want to live in New York for 3 months, and I want to go to Hawaii for 3 months. In fact, I was there for a month not too long ago. So like you said, mixing it up.
Yeah, that's awesome goals.
Because I like my job. I like helping others, whether buy, sell, property management. I mean, I truly, when a client calls and says, I had this horrible experience, I'm like, yes, let me fix it. Let me turn this around and show you that property management really can be
great.
Great. It can be a great experience. So I do get joy in that, and you have to. That's great. You have to love what you do.
It sounds like we have a lot in common, and we like a lot of places. So we ran out of time now, so we got to wrap this up. I want to thank the best co-host in the business.
Yes, sir.
If you guys are looking to rent out your house, if you're an agent that needs a great transaction coordinating company, Chris Hahn's your man. Hit him up. Guys, this is Ron in Vegas. Take care of yourselves today.
Awesome.